Let me now go to the next question. A circular ring of radius r is having uniformly distributed charge q. Find the flux crossing through a sphere of radius r having its center on the periphery of the ring. The options are 1, 0, 2, q divided by 4 epsilon 0, 3, q divided by epsilon 0, fourth one, q divided by 3 epsilon 0. Suppose dotted line represents the ring and suppose the radius of the ring is r. Let the solid sphere be shown by a thick line. This is also of the radius equal to r. And you may notice that I have drawn the sphere such that the center of the sphere lies on the periphery of the ring as is required in the problem. Join this point and these two also. You can notice that R, 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 R and R. Therefore, these two are equilateral triangles. This angle is 60, this angle is 60, total angle is going to be equal to 120 degrees. Note one thing here, to calculate the flux across the sphere, you should consider the portion of the ring lying inside the sphere. Then I can calculate what is the charge lying within the ring. If the charge lying within the ring is Q, by Gauss theorem, the electric flux is Q divided by epsilon 0. For the entire ring, the charge is capital Q. 120 degrees means this portion is 1/3 of the ring. Hence, the charge contained will be equal to Q divided by 3. Therefore, the flux is charge divided by epsilon 0, that is Q divided by 3 epsilon 0. Therefore, the fourth option is the correct answer. Now, I will move on to the next question. Two identical pendulums, A and B, are suspended from the same point. The bobs are given the positive charges, with A having more charge than B. They diverge and reach equilibrium with A and B making the angles theta 1 and theta 2 with the vertical respectively. Then the options are 1. Theta 1 is greater than theta 2. 2. Theta 1 is less than theta 2. Third, theta 1 is equal to theta 2. Fourth one is the tension in A is greater than the tension in B. This question is very important question concept wise. My request is, please try to understand the method of approach and the formula to be remembered in working all problems of this nature. Suppose this is a point of support. From this point of support, there are two identical pendulums. I call one as A and the other as B. Both are charged with a charge on A equal to Q1 say and the charge on B equal to Q2 say. Further, he says that Q1 is greater than Q2. Now, Q1 will repel Q2. Let us consider the equilibrium of Q2. Therefore, the electrostatic force exerted on B due to A is equal to K into Q1 into Q2 divided by D square, where D is the distance between A and B. Suppose T is the tension along the string and mg is the weight of the bob. By applying Lami's theorem, it can be shown that, because it requires a lot of time to show it, I don't want to go into the details of Lami's theorem. But nevertheless, I want to give you one formula, and that formula you must remember in order to work any problem of this type. If the angle made by the string with the vertical is theta, then relation between tan theta and the other forces is given by tan theta is equal to Fe divided by mg. Fe divided by mg. Now, consider the angle made by the pendulum B with the vertical. If it is theta 1, then it is tan theta 1 equal to Fe divided by mg. Similarly, if the angle made by this is theta 2, again theta 2 means tan theta 2 is equal to Fe by mg. Please note, electrostatic force in both the cases is K into Q1 Q2 divided by d square. Since pendulums are also identical, mg is also same. Therefore, both for the pendulum A as well as the pendulum B, you can observe that Fa is same, mg is same, therefore tan theta is same. In other words, theta 1 is equal to theta 2. Therefore, third option is correct. I want you to please note one thing here. Normal wrong concept in your mind is, since Q1 is greater than Q2, the electrostatic force on Q1 may be more than the electrostatic force on Q2. It is wrong because electrostatic force does not depend upon individual charge, it depends on the product of the charges. If you note this point, then third option being correct seems to be almost obvious. The question is, two charged spheres A and B with 10 and plus 20 coulombs respectively are separated by distance 80 centimeter. The electric field at a point on the line joining the centers of the two spheres will be 0 at a distance from the sphere A. First option 20 centimeter, second option 33 centimeter, third option 55 centimeter, fourth option 60 centimeter. Note, there are two spheres. One sphere is A and the other sphere is B. These two spheres are such that their centers are separated by a distance 80 centimeter. I hope you remember, just today itself, I told that if the charges are of the same nature, null point, that is the point of zero intensity, must lie between the two charges, such that the point is closer to the smaller of the two charges. Therefore, if this is 10 coulomb and this is 20 coulomb, suppose intensity is 0 at a point P at a distance x centimeter from the point A. If intensity at P should be 0, then K into charge is 10 divided by the square of the distance is x square. This must be equal to intensity at P due to the second sphere, and that is K into 20 divided by 80 minus x whole square. I request you to note one thing, that is, you may be having a confusion that 10 and 20 are in coulomb corresponding to SI system. x and at minus x are in centimeter and therefore they are in CGS system. Can this formula be valid? Answer is yes, because conversion of centimeter into meter will be common both in LHS and RHS in the denominator, that gets cancelled out. Cancelling k and k, one can notice that x square divided by at minus x whole square is equal to 1 divided by 2. Note 10 by 20 equal to 1 divided by 2. One thing that you can notice is that if you have taken the precaution about the position of the null point, then I have already told you that when you take the root, positive and negative, that is plus or minus, need not be written. It is always going to be plus. Therefore, taking the root over here, one can easily write it as x divided by at minus x is equal to 1 divided by root 2. In CET, you must be knowing that these values can be taken approximate. That is, in CET, root 2 can be taken as 1.4, root 3 can be taken as 1.7. That will give approximate answer. Therefore, taking the root, one can write it as 1 divided by 1.4. Cross multiplying 1.4x is equal to at minus x. That means 2.4x is equal to at, or x is equal to at divided by 2.4. Notice 24 3s are 72. Again 8 24 3s are 72. This can be taken as approximately 33 centimeter. On account of this reason, the correct answer is the second option. The next question, like charges of equal magnitude Q are kept at the equilateral triangle ABC as shown in the figure. The electric intensity E and the potential V at the centroid O are respectively 1. E equal to 0, V equal to 0. 2. E equal to 0, V is not equal to 0. 3. E is not equal to 0, V equal to 0. 4. E is not equal to 0, V is not equal to 0. I would like to bring it to your notice that this question is picked up from the IIT paper. What I am trying to emphasize you is, nature of the exam is unimportant. Correct understanding of the concept is more important. Nowadays, in all competitive examinations, lot of emphasis is put on the concepts involved in the question. If you are clear about the concept, nature of the exam apart, let it be IIT, let it be JEE Mains, let it be Karnataka CET, you will always be able to get good marks. Now, try to understand what is the concept in the problem and how you should have answered it. There is an equilateral triangle and the charge Q is placed at each of the corners. At each of the corners, the charge Q is placed. O is the centroid of the triangle. Notice, O is the centroid of the triangle. In order to calculate potential and intensity, first of all, I will go to the potential. While calculating potential, please try to understand one shortcut, and that is, if the charge configuration is such that the charges are equidistant from the point where the charges are placed, or the charges are equidistant from the point where the potential is required, entire charge configuration may be considered as a single point charge, which is algebraic sum of the individual charges. Notice, the centroid O of the triangle is equidistant from all the three charges. Therefore, you can apply this concept, and the potential V at a point is given by K, that is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon 0. Algebraic sum of the charges is 3Q divided by the distance. I take this distance to be equal to R. Therefore, it is 3Q divided by R. Now, suppose I want to calculate electric intensity at O. You all know that electric intensity at a point is the force exerted on unit positive charge placed at that point. If you place a unit positive charge here, this will exert a force in this direction, that is the forces of repulsion. This charge will exert an equal force, which is also a force of repulsion, as shown in the figure. By the geometry of the figure, you can easily conclude that angle between these forces is equal to 120 degrees. The most important concept that you have learnt in vectors is, if any two vectors are equal in magnitude and are inclined at an angle to be equal to 120 degrees, the resultant is always going to be equal to either of the vectors. Therefore, since these two intensities are equal in magnitude and inclined at an angle 120 degrees, the resultant is also going to be the same, that is E in the direction towards A, that is as shown in the figure. Now, I have taken or calculated the intensity due to charges at these 2 points. If I now calculate the intensity due to the charge Q at A, you agree that it will repel and the force is same as either of the two forces, or the intensity is same as either of the two intensities. Therefore, if you want to calculate the net intensity, it is sufficient if you take the resultant of this intensity and this intensity. They are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction. Therefore, the resultant intensity is going to be equal to 0. Therefore, the intensity E is going to be equal to 0. Note that potential is finite, intensity is equal to 0. Therefore, the correct option is E is equal to 0 and V is not equal to 0. Before concluding this question, let me tell you important points that you have to keep in your mind. If the equal charges are placed at the corners of an equilateral triangle, the resultant intensity at the centroid is always going to be 0. Second point is, if the charge configuration is such that the point where the potential is required is equidistant from the charges, potential can be calculated as though the configuration is a single charge whose magnitude is algebraic sum of the individual charges and at the same distance as each of the charges. Before going to the next question, let me tell you that I have already given the concept about this question earlier, but still question is marginally confusing. On account of that reason, I would like to take up this question. Two particles have the charges Q and minus Q. For a zero net force to be exerted on the third charged particle, it must be placed, first option, on the perpendicular bisector of the line joining Q and minus Q, but not on the line itself. 2. On the line joining Q and minus Q to the side of Q opposite to minus Q, on the line joining q and minus q to the side of minus q but opposite to q, no such location is possible. Look here, concept is very simple, but there is every possibility that you may misunderstand the concept and end up with a wrong answer. The question is, there is a charge q here and there is another charge minus q. The two charges are q and minus q. Question is, a certain third charge is placed at different positions. We have to identify the point where the force is 0. Please note that force on the charge is 0 when the intensity is 0. Hence, we have to identify the point where the electric intensity is 0. Let me once again reiterate whatever I had told earlier and try to make the points clear to you. Charges are opposite. Therefore, the null point cannot lie along the line joining them. There cannot be a null point along the line joining them. Then, the two charges are q and minus q, and therefore, the null point may be to the left of q or to the right of minus q. Please note one very important point here. To decide where the null point lies, please note one thing, that null point should be closer to the smaller of the two charges. Here, that question doesn't arise because the two charges are equal in magnitude. Therefore, null point cannot be here, null point cannot be here, null point cannot be here, null point cannot be anywhere either above or below the line joining the two charges. Hence, there is no location at all in the neighborhood of the system where the electric intensity is 0. Therefore, the correct option is no such location is possible. Before going to the next question, I would like to tell you the concept that you have to remember in answering questions of this type. The concept is, if there are n small drops which are identical and if they coalesce to form a larger drop, how to calculate the resultant potential of the larger drop? The shortcut to be remembered is, suppose n identical drops coalesce to form a single large drop. The potential of the large drop will be n to the power 2 by 3 times the potential of each of the smaller drops. If you remember this shortcut, you can answer any number of questions of this type. Let me illustrate it by taking this example. A spherical liquid drop has a diameter of 2 millimeter and is given a charge 2 into 10 to the power minus 15 coulomb. If two such drops coalesce to form a single drop, the potential at the surface of the drop formed is, first option 0.007 volt, second option 0.014 volt, third option 0.021 volt, fourth option 0.028 volt. Look here, there are two drops. This is one drop and this is another drop. Each drop is of the diameter equal to 2 millimeter. Therefore, radius of each drop can be taken as 1 millimeter and both carry the charges 2 into 10 to the power minus 15 coulomb. When two such drops coalesce to form a single drop, potential of the larger drop is, remember, n to the power 2 by 3. Now the number of drops coalescing is 2. Therefore, n to the power 2 by 3 becomes 2 to the power 2 by 3 multiplied by potential of each drop. Potential of each drop is 9 into 10 to the power 9 multiplied by the charge 2 into 10 to the power minus 15 divided by the radius. Radius, diameter is 2 millimeter, means radius is equal to 1 millimeter. Therefore, radius can be written as 10 to the power minus 3. Now you have to make the calculation by shortcut. He has given that 4 to the power 1 by 3 equal to 1.5874. Remember, 2 to the power 2 by 3 is same as 4 to the power 1 by 3. Therefore, to a first approximation, 2 to the power 2 by 3 can be written as 1.6. Note that it is not very advisable if you write the entire 1.5874, because we have to approximate such that calculations become simple. Multiplied by 9 into 2 is 18, multiplied by 10 raised to minus 15, 10 raised to minus 3 will give you 10 raised to minus 12. 10 raised to 9, 10 raised to minus 12 will give you 10 raised to minus 3. Calculating this one, 16 8s are 128, 12, 16 into 1, 16 plus 12, 28. Therefore, it will become 28.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 volt. That is V. You can agree that 10 raised to minus 3 means one place, second place, another 0. It can be written as approximately 0.028 volt. Therefore, fourth option is the correct answer.